So we have already talked about the fact that Michael Jackson met with Stan Lee in the 90s, and he almost bought Marvel Comics, made himself the star of a sort of bigger Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time. Now let's talk about Michael Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, Mariah Carey, and the X-Men. Oh boy, can you imagine? Can you just imagine Michael Jackson and Shaquille O'Neal in X-Men? Oh boy, what a you can't even keep a straight face on that one. Like, that is just absurd. And specifically who they wanted to play. So, as we recently learned, Michael Jackson met with Fox, with Marvel, and he wanted to play Charles Xavier. And Shaquille O'Neal showed up, and he wanted to play Forge. This honestly sounds like they were shooting the Joel Schumacher version of X-Men if this would have happened. It's just what a time, right? Now I know some of you are younger and you might not understand like why I'm laughing, but Michael Jackson in that time, you know, he was coming off that big wave of the 80s and early 90s where he was everywhere. But as Charles Xavier, like, no, like, that just would not have worked, especially with the way he acts and his voice and everything. You just can't even process that through your head. But then you got Shaquille O'Neal. Like, need I say more? In case you guys haven't seen, like, you know, his films up until this point, just before he came in wanting to be Forge, he was Steel. You know, DC Comics Steel, in what is notoriously and I guess famously known as one of the worst comic book movies of all time. I mean, it was just bad. And he wanted to play Forge. Out of all the characters, you show up, you're like, "Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal, I want to play Forge." And they're like, "He's not even in the movie. Who invited this guy to audition?" Oh man, what a different time. This is one of those stories I love because it's a time capsule story. It's like those old magazines, you know, people end up every couple years, somebody finds an old magazine from like, oh, this is from 1999 or something, or this is from 1995. And it's like the editors of this magazine, they're fan casting the perfect roles. And they're like, Cyclops should be played by Eminem. Sabretooth should be played by Jeff Bridges. What a time, right? It's just like throwing out the most random people that you could never see as these characters. But hey, that was the time, right? It was a different time. It certainly was a different time. Boy, would that have been different. Oh, and also Mariah Carey, apparently she was talking about being Storm. I mean, that might have worked. I'll be real with you. That might have worked. That just might have worked. Probably would have got more eyes on the movie at the time. But yeah, you know. I just realized none of you kids know who Jeff Bridges is. Jesus. I mean, some of you might because of the MCU. You might not even know the name, though. Whatever.